Yes, welcome everyone here to the Smash Sports Show right here on Smash FM here on a Tuesday. And of course, let's turn our attention again to the summer of cycling. Of course, it is awesome to have this amazing cyclist on the show because she just came off the Tour Down Under, just recently finished on the weekend just gone. Of course, her name's Nicole. She joins us right now. Thanks, Nicole, for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
No worries. Well, tell us a bit about the Tour Down Under, that just finished in South Australia over the weekend.
Yeah, it's always good to be back for the summer of cycling, and Tour Down Under is one of my favourite races on the calendar. So my trade team wasn't racing, so this year they put together a women's team again, and normally the program has been a bit more towards the development riders, but this one was an upper pathway. So what that meant, it was basically open to those riders who had UCI teams and race in Europe, but whose teams weren't actually coming to the race. So yeah, we're a blend of riders again. Some of them I knew, and some of them were new faces. So that's always a nice thing to do, and learn new people and how they race. And yeah, it was a really good, it was a really fun race. Like I said, I really enjoyed it. I was coming with some good form, and I was looking forward to it. And it got, like, as we always expect it to, it did get really hot here in Adelaide. But yeah, it was really nice, and I had a good week.
No, I think Sarah won the Tour Down Under in the women's side of things. But of course, you finished in the top 10. I saw. That must be pretty good.
Yeah, I snuck into the top 10. So yeah, I was really happy with that. I did want to. It was a bit of a goal of mine, and yeah, it did all come down to that final stage on Wollonga, which we saw what Sarah Digante could do there as well, and I was really happy to see her win as well.
Going into the final round of, I guess, the actual racing at the Tour Down Under, did you know what time you sort of had to sort of beat before to get into the top 10? Do you have a bit of an idea?
No, it was right. It was a little bit different. So obviously I've raced up there before, so I know what the effort's like, and we know that I think the climb is in that 8-minute mark. But the race itself, it was a block headwind up there, so it's not a great idea to probably look at time. Like, I know Sarah didn't beat hers, so yeah, I set myself these times. Last time I went up there, it was also against Sarah, and she also won. And that time I actually tried to stay on her wheel from the base. So when she launched her attack, she did again this year. Last time I tried to stay with her, and I blew up. So this year I decided I wasn't going to do that. So I was going to try and mark somebody else, someone that was like maybe a little bit more around my pace, and yeah, not put myself into the red just at the base of that climb. So, and that worked well for me. It's also, in a race, like, it's different to say going up there on your own and just trying to set a good time, because you can sort of only race as fast as your races. Like, obviously you can ride away, but you have to put in a really significant effort to get away and then hold that. So whereas if I just went to the front, I could do 30, 40 watts more than the person behind me, but I'm not going any faster. I'm just getting all the win. So yeah, I guess, like, I look at my power, and I might look at things like that and go, oh, I can do better than that, but I wouldn't maybe say do so much better that I'd ride everyone off my wheel that what Sarah did. Like, she's got a really good power to weight, and she just flies up a climb like that. So yeah, but I did want to go a top 10 in Wollonga. On the stage itself, I went 11th, but the time was enough, and everything to put me into 10th on GC. So I was consistent across the 3 days.
How rewarding was that to finish in the top 10, considering what you also did at Rope Nationals, which we'll talk about that shortly? But how rewarding was it for you?
Yeah, it was really good. And the girls, like I said, we don't all necessarily know each other and come together. So we were learning. So like, so for example, like Darcy Richards was on the team, and she was just our water girl for the 3 days, and she gained so much experience by doing that, and she was just so dedicated to trying to help us. And you need riders like that, so it really felt like I was able to sort of give back to some of the riders that had really sacrificed themselves to help me. So we had sort of 3 different days. The first day was just more of a sprinter stage, so we were more there for Sarah Roy, because that was a day for her. The second day, we took a little bit more of a tactic of saying, like, we can go for opportunities, because the stage sort of suited 4 of us quite well. So I did, so, you know, a rider like Emily was maybe trying to make an earlier attack, an earlier move, whereas I was looking more for those moves maybe on the final circuit. The way it was raced didn't actually like allow it. So then it was waiting for the final, in which case like Lizzie was going to try and help me in the final. I actually had mechanical. I got stuck in my little chainring on the final lap. So I couldn't actually sprint well, but I was still 17th and lost no time. So I'm a little bit disappointed with that stage because I think I could have gone a top 10 if I could have sprinted. But yeah, once you run out of gears, you run out of gears. And then Sarah, well, and obviously the last day was for me, and Lizzie was also allowed to be try and race it for herself too. And Sarah really just worked so hard for me all day. So to be able to finish it well, like I just wanted to feel like I'd emptied it on the climb. Then that felt, yeah, really rewarding. So because last year when I did Tour Down Under, I got sick on the last stage. And so the last stage was also up the corkscrew, so it was a climbing day as well, which should have suited me. But I had 0 legs because I got sick. And so I just wanted to like not have a replication of that, and I didn't. So yeah, it felt really good.
So go back another week to Road Nationals, which was at Mount Ballong in Ballarat. Tell us a bit about that for you.
Yeah, I obviously really wanted a good nationals. I didn't do it last year, and then the year before that I was national champ. So, you know, it was a little bit of nostalgia feeling when I did a recon of the course the week of, and we're coming down into it, and I was like, oh, the last time I rode this, I won, which is weird because it obviously wasn't last year; it was the year before that. I just hadn't been back. And yeah, you replay a lot of that and a lot of that feeling. And nationals is always a funny one because you're coming into it with no racing against your opponent. So in other years we have had TDU first, and it's always a little bit kind of a bit nice because you're like, okay, they're flying, I'll watch them, and all right, they're not. So you don't have that, and so you can go, you know, I think my form's good. I'm hitting all my numbers. My training's on. I haven't been sick. But am I good? Like, how good's everyone else? So it's always a little bit. You have those exceptions with some riders that post all of their rides and their workouts and all of their power, and so you go a little bit and go, okay, I can do that. That's all right. I'm in the ballpark. But yeah, I was looking forward to it, but obviously nervous. I did want to do well, and I just really wanted to be in the final.
You mentioned that you won in 2022, the national championship, which we'll talk a bit about that shortly. But how disappointing or how sad was it to not go back there last year and try to defend it?
No, that was okay because it was a personal choice. I did have a little bit of a struggle with the jersey and being in Europe that year. And I felt like for me, I just wanted to maybe just focus on myself a little bit more. And that meant, like, for me, it meant not necessarily having the jersey. So yeah, I felt totally fine, and actually probably felt kind of relieved once I made the decision not to defend it. I did go into this race thinking, how am I going to feel satisfied out of this race? Because like when you've won, everything else a loss. And I'm really happy that I 100% came away from the race this year, and I felt really satisfied with how I had raced. I think I rode really smart, and I was strong, and I was able to show that I was able to be there among the strong. Like, there's more teams there now. It's not just Jayco. It's Jayco and there's Trek, and there was a dozen riders going to the line. So the level's lifted, and there's more girls that are strong enough to win it. And so to be there is more of an achievement, I think.
Considering obviously the last 2 weeks, where's this building towards for 2024?
Well, I mean, immediately I have a gravel race this coming week. So I'm doing Rattle Gravel, so I'm excited for that. So a little bit more of the summer of racing. Then I head off to Europe, and I'll join up with my new team. It's SSS Cycling, so UK licensed team. And yeah, so I head over there. I meet up with them and go on my training camp. And I'm just hoping for like a good season, blend in with the new team. So they are a newer team. They put themselves together last year, but I think it was a little bit more like just get it on the road and get the project started. And then this year they're really trying to build it up and make it a really professional team with the vision of growth. So their aim is to go and try and be the first British World Tour team in the years coming. We're going to see in 2025, I think, pro Conti teams in the women's, because at the moment it's just Continental Women's World Tour. So you're going to see that middle like the men. And I know they hope to make that step. And so they have a real growth plan, and that really excites me, I think, because I feel like you're able to grow with them, and they're really open to listening to us as riders and what we need and what we want, and then trying to build that around us. So, which is what you need as a rider to try and help you be your best. So, yeah, I'm really excited for the year. I think it's going to be really good, and it's a new bunch of girls. We're more mixed nationalities than what I was on last time, and I think that's also going to be really good for me as well.
Any other Aussies other than yourself on that team?
No, there's not. No, but there's some UK and an Irish, Swiss. So there's quite a blend.
Going to a new team this year. I guess how did that all come about, and why did you make the choice?
Yeah, obviously I've got a manager, and we chat about that and what we should be looking for. Park Hotel, who I was with, they were shifting more towards just purely a Dutch Belgium-based team, and obviously I was the only Australian, so that didn't quite fit. Which is totally fine. Teams take their directions, and I think I was also just in need of a bit of a change as well. And this opportunity came up, and I spoke with Pyramid about it, and ran over what the team's plans are and what they hope to be achieving this year. And it just sort of really fit with what I think I wanted to achieve as well.
Let's talk a bit about, like when we last had you on the show, which was, I think, around 2020, 21, I think, when we last had you on the show. I can't remember exactly, but it was almost about this time a couple of years ago now. You mentioned about the Road Nationals champion that obviously you mentioned 2022. Tell us a bit about that race.
2022, yeah. So I was riding at the time with Rock Salt, with SRAM. So it was manned by Peter, and we went in with the biggest team on the start list. And I remember the night before we had a Zoom call with everybody, and we were talking about what are our goals for the race. And I think Peter might have asked, like, does anyone think they would like to try and win? And I didn't put my hand up, because I was like, I don't want to say that, because what if you say that and then it doesn't come true? And then Courtney was like, you put your hand up, Nicole. And I was just like, yeah, like I guess I want to win. And so then the next day I was actually reasonably calm, I think. We rode to the start all together. We got there, and the race was a bit cooler to start with, I think. And I think till lap 5, which was similar to this year, the racing didn't really kick off. And then Justine Barrows has been told, like, if the racing isn't going really hard, give it some on the climb, so we can drop some people we don't want around. And so I think Em Herfoss I think she'd gone up the road already, so she'd gone solo, which was a really good thing for the team, because we didn't have to do anything. And then Justine gave it a bit more gas, and so we started really racing after lap 5. And I remember then getting into we caught Em, we caught Matilda, caught Tilly. They were all peak riders that were away in the race. And then once we caught them and all my teammates were passed, I was like, shit, I'm like the last one here, and it's the last lap. I was like, oh, how am I going to win? I've got to do this. And I remember being through the beginning on the front, and you don't really tack off the front normally. That's not what you do. But I just felt like the girl behind me just wasn't quite cornering as hard as I was. So through one of the corners, I just thought, I'm just going to give it a bit beforehand, go through it pretty hard, and if she's not on my wheel, I'll kick out. And I did that, and I got my gap. And then it's just head down. Like, that was about 4K to go, I think. And it was just, head down, give it everything to the line. And if it works, it works. And if it doesn't, you're done, because you won't be able to sprint. And it worked. And then everything else, it kind of just feels like a bit of a blur of a day. Yeah.
So you mentioned your fellow cyclists who got you to put your hand up if you wanted to win. What was her reaction afterwards, and did you thank her for for making
Yeah, of course.
it up?
Yeah, of course. So, I mean, they all knew how hard I'd been training for it that year. Like, they knew it was, funny enough, to take the time trial was more my target, but yeah, they knew I was putting everything into nationals, and I'd made like quite a few sacrifices to try and get into the form I was in. So I don't, no one was surprised. Like, they expected it of me. It was just me owning that decision and saying, like, yeah, like I want people to run for me. Um, it's a hard race to try and ask people to sacrifice for you because everyone wants to win a national champ. Like, it's just a different sort of race. And I'd also never raced it with a team that was sort of around me like that. So normally I'd always been a bit more of a privateer. So yeah, Claude's a good friend of mine. She's coming here to do the gravel race as well. So that's fine. We make jokes about it as well. And I don't think they'd be actually they're probably surprised I don't say it because normally I do say mostly what I think or what I need or what I want. So yeah, it's a good friendship we've got.
How good was to get the the green and gold nationals, and especially what did that mean to you? And where is it now?
Yeah, it meant a lot, of course. I mean, you still like think back to it and bring a smile to your face. So like, I don't think anybody would want to give that up. And it is hung up on there's one hung up on my wall as you walk into the house. Mum and Dad put it up there, so that's all framed
Nice.
and pretty. And then of course, yeah, I did change teams halfway through the season, so I got an extra shipment of jerseys with the new team as well, so that was nice. So I gave a few away to like my coach and a few important people as well.
How good was to wear the national gold medal, and how long did you wear it for?
Actually, after that was great. But after the race, Mason was our photographer from Rock Salt, and he was just like as excited as I was, and he put it on, and then I didn't see my medal for like all day because he rode around with it on, which is fine. I knew where it was, but yeah, that was pretty funny. So, which is okay. I had the jersey, so it was no problem.
I'm sure you got it back now, the medal.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, that's fine.
The one I always ask this when we have national champions on the show, especially there in Ballarat. How good was to get the champagne shower, and were you expecting it?
Yeah, of course you expect it. I can't even remember it at the moment, like anymore. I think the jersey smelled like champagne for a while, and the champagne tasted good, but I always get told that maybe they're bottles that you don't normally drink that get sprayed. So, but I think it's like an adrenaline thing, yeah. Like Ruby maybe has had more experience with it recently, so she'd probably be able to tell you how good it tasted.
Do you get any sprayed in the eye accidentally by obviously the silver medalist and the bronze medalist next to you?
Oh, I'm sure accidentally, yeah. In the moment, you don't even notice, yeah.
So, other than we just mentioned a lot about your 2022 national champions, what other events have you competed in? Any achievements that you've had other than that since we last had you on the show?
I mean, I also went on and got to do, the first Tour de France that year. I got to do a lot of classics last year as well. The age best on the age. I can't remember. We probably did it before we caught up, but I did the first Paris-Roubaix. So yeah, I've definitely done like quite a few of the bigger races as well, and they're awesome. And I think I'm seeing a few starts trickle in for the new team as well, which is really great. But I do also enjoy the smaller races too. Like sometimes it's not always about the bigger stuff, because I think you grow and develop a lot by having a range of experiences and races and things as well. So that mixture, yeah, is going to be something I think that'll be really good for the new year.
Now, so you mentioned the Tour de France, which is obviously the most famous cycling race in the world. Obviously, it's great to have the women part of that. What did that mean to you to sort of follow a bit of history and obviously the most famous race in the world?
Yeah, it's super cool, and it felt like a different race. You've got all the other World Tour races, and they've run really, really well, and there's huge crowds and everything. But the Tour is just something different. The excitement was real because everybody was just as excited for it as we were. So I mean, there's it with, I guess, like nervousness, I guess, by the peloton and things, because you do know that everybody is watching. But it was just really exciting. It was just super cool to be doing that and starting in Paris. And yeah, like you can't replicate the first one, but yeah, it's the first, and you're always going to be a part of that.
And how special does that mean to you now, to be part of the very first Women's Tour de France?
It's something that I'll be able to say I was a part of forever. So yeah, it's really cool.
What does the sport of cycling mean to you, considering you've achieved so much in the sport, and obviously it's not ending. So obviously we hope you be cycling for a lot more years. What does it mean to you now?
I think it's about, for me, it's about enjoying it, having fun and the experiences. And obviously, yeah, still always continuing to develop and try and be the best cyclist that I can be. Because if you lose that hunger, then yeah, you've got to wonder why are you doing the sport. But I also do start to see it more from that role model. How are we developing it, growing it? Where is it going, and how can I help be a part of that as well? So I'm pretty passionate about that side of things. I work with a cycling club back in my home, so Tassie, and we run one of the National Road Series races, and that I love being a part of that because, yeah, I'm passionate for that and that grassroots side of things. Obviously, a bit more passionate for Australians because we've got to go so far, and it's a little bit harder. So if we can try and make things like that and close the gap a little bit, and get more Aussies racing and give them really good foundations, then that really excites me. So I do really enjoy being able to give back as well.
What will be your advice to people that should get on the bike? And considering we're in the summer season right now, but obviously, it's an all year round cycling. What will be your advice to people that should get on the bike?
I think people always said it to me, and it was they've just had fun, and it's definitely the advice I'd give. At the time, I didn't quite understand it, but then once it's not fun anymore, you really understand it, and you go through periods of that. And so I think that's it. It's just have fun. Like, yeah, if you want to go for a coffee stop, go for a coffee stop. If you want to go swimming in your nits because it's 40 degrees in Adelaide, go do that. And if you don't want to ride your bike one day, that's also okay. So yeah, I think it's just have fun and try new things. We do have so much now: gravel, mountain bike, track, road. There's so many. We're seeing, yeah, the off-road stuff really take off. So just give it a go.
I'll finish with a couple of lighthearted questions. So for you, do you have a pre-competition superstition or ritual?
No, I don't. But Em Watts was actually telling us the other day. I'm just going to probably throw her under the bus. She has a tattoo of a ladybug, and we were like, what's that for? It's on her left side, and she said it's because when she won a race, she has a ladybug earring, and she had ripped her ear. She ripped her radio out of her ear, and when she did that, it pulled the other earring out. So she won, and then she only won with one ladybug in. So her little superstition is ladybug, and it's lucky if it's in her left ear. So that's not mine, but it's hers. I was like, that's pretty superstitious. Yeah.
Any comedian or best singers in your new team? Or
I don't know about the new team because I haven't met the girls yet, so I can't throw them under the bus. But the Park Hotel girls, they did love some car karaoke, and it was always in Dutch. But there would be some really big dance sessions or pre-race in the caravan, and the whole caravan would just be moving because they'd be all jumping around to the song. So yeah, that's a bit of fun.
Any embarrassing moments on the bike?
Probably just when I got speed plate pedals on my time trial bike, and then you can't clip in, and when you've been riding a bike for a while, it's pretty embarrassing. So, and you're just trying to clip in, so yeah, that brings you back to earth a little bit, I guess. But no, nothing too major.
We'll finish with this last one. For anyone that should follow your amazing cycling journey this year, it's always obviously off to a great start already. Where should they follow you on the socials throughout the rest of the 2024 year?
Mostly my Instagram is probably where I'm most active, and it's _ Nicole Louise _. So yeah, that's where I post most of my race reviews and what's going on.
Nicole, it is awesome to have you on the show. It's been far too long since we had you on the show, and I can't wait to see where this year goes for you. Obviously, off to a great start already, and can't wait to see, especially when you head off to Europe as well, how you go over there, and especially with your new team, and hopefully we'll get you back on the show either late in the year or this time next year to talk about how you went in 2024.
Yeah, sounds great. Thanks for having me.
No worries. And that's Nicole there joining us there, because as she mentioned, you can follow her progress throughout the 2024 year on her Insta, which we'll post that up on our socials. There's more on the Smash Sports Show right after this. Don't go away here on the 10th year celebration.